Thank you for joining me today. My name is Michael Weir. I am a technical marketing engineer for cybersecurity here at Ingram Micro, and this presentation contains information from Jerry, as well as a technical consultant here at Ingram Micro. Today we want to talk to you about the CISA Emergency Directive 22-03, about mitigating the new VMware vulnerabilities now. So this presentation, we unfortunately have to start off with some bad news. All right, and here's the bad news. So just issued was a red alert by CISA. It was an emergency directive about two CVE vulnerabilities, 22972 and 22973. The affected products of these are some things that are relatively widespread. Like I said already, these are VMware products. This is what VMware identified themselves as to what is affected by this. So VMware's Workspace ONE Access, their Identity Manager, the vRealize Automation, the Cloud Foundation, and vRealize Suite Lifecycle Manager. So these are products that are relatively frequently deployed. They're used by a lot of people, especially big organizations, and in the case of CISA, they're worried about these products being in use in the federal space. Now let's talk about a little bit about what these exploits can do. Here are some of the possible consequences you could get if one of these were to be used in your environment. So the 22972, if a malicious actor were to exploit that, they would get, and they could get UI access at the same time. They could get themselves administrative access without the need to authenticate, which is of course very bad. This is for Workspace ONE Access, Identity Manager, and vRealize Automation. Obviously, as I said, administrative access is a very bad thing because it's pretty much the keys to the kingdom. Right? You can do whatever you want after that point. 22973 is a little bit similar. This one, if a malicious actor can get access to it, they can escalate their privileges to root. And this is Workspace ONE Access and Identity Manager again. Once again, you don't want anybody elevating their privilege once you're on a machine. That's one of the goals that bad actors have in virtually any hack that's going on or any environment they've compromised, is to get their privileges escalated as high as possible, as quickly as possible, so they can do as much as possible without detection or before they're detected. Now there is good news about this, however. So the good news is that VMware already has worked out either patches or workarounds for all these vulnerabilities. They're available at that website that's on the screen now. I'll let that hang out for a second. They've been incredibly responsive about this, incredibly open about this, at least as far as we know so far. And there are ways to fix all the issues up there. Now let's talk about CISA again for a second. They have required actions, and this is the required actions. This is for the federal, civilian executive branch agencies, as well as those operating on their behalf, and also some FedRAMP cloud vendors and that kind of thing. So today I'm making this on May 23rd. By 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time today, those agencies are responsible for doing these things. They have to find all uses of the impacted VMware products. They have to report them to CISA. They have to assume that they're compromised, which is always a good thing to do anyway if you're dealing with a new cyber vulnerability. Function as though you're assuming you're compromised so that you get things fixed up and protected as quickly as possible. They're supposed to disconnect these machines from the internet, which is going to be a major workflow disruption for a lot of people, especially automation devices getting disconnected from the internet, right? But it is what it is. You do what you have to do. And then the last thing is deploy the updates provided by VMware. Their package for this is VMSA 2022-0014, or CISA also gave the option of stop using the products affected. And then by noon tomorrow, May 24th, the agencies have to report the status of the actions that were required above. Now, I want to roll back a little bit there where it says deploy updates or stop using the products affected. You might be thinking to yourself, well, deploy updates, that sounds relatively easy. Why not just deploy the update? Due to the complexity of operations that some of these branches, executive branch agencies have, they have change procedures. These change procedures often involve testing something in a beta environment or a non-production environment to see how it's going to affect operation of these machines, see if there's any tweaks that need to be made before it's rolled out and we have some kind of catastrophe and everybody goes down, something like that. What CISA is effectively asking people to do here is to skip those change procedures. And they have the options of take the entire product offline, stop using it in production, experiment with it, or they can apply this patch and potentially have unknown consequences. Now, VMware, as I said, has been good about this patch. More than likely, everything is going to be stable, but that's the choice that these agencies have to make at this point. It's a hard choice. CISA is also going to take some action. What they're going to do is work with the partners and the people affected by this to monitor for compromise. And I want you to take note of what I'm going to say next because we're going to talk about it again. They're going to provide technical assistance to agencies without the resources to comply. So if you're an agency that says, hey, I don't I don't have a tech staff. I can't update all this stuff right away. There's assistance available to you from CISA. CISA is also going to issue a report uh, the progress to relevant federal agencies like DHS and that kind of thing by June 30th to say, okay, these are the agencies we know were affected. This is what they've done to mitigate the problem. This is how they're moving forward. This is how we handled the whole incident. Hopefully everything's okay. Now, we do have to tie it back to a little bit of dollars and making sense here. Things like this present a big opportunity for cybersecurity MSPs and MSSPs. And the reason is that sentence I called attention to earlier, that CISA is providing technical assistance to agencies without the resources to comply. Well, an MSP or MSSP is a resource provider for situations like this going forward in the future. This might shake people up to say, oh man, we can't do this tech support stuff ourselves. We have to ask for help. Maybe we should get somebody in-house or on call who can do some of this stuff for us on our behalf. Basically, federal agencies need help. And there's preparation that goes into being able to help a federal agency, certain auditing of your environment and the like. We have something at Ingram Micro called Tech Force, and there's people on that Tech Force line that can help you. They're thought leaders, they're smart people who try to get MSPs, MSSPs, value-added resellers, all that, to the point they need to be in their practice. So here's some important context if you're an MSP or MSSP and you want to get into the federal space. First of all, there's me. I'm the Security Frameworks lead. I'm a technical marketing engineer. There's my email. We have an MSP and MSSP lead named Brian Rawls. He's a senior TC. There's his email up there. We have a box for general requests, and there's a website talking about security trends and what we can do. imaginext.ingrammicro.com/security. Thank you very much for listening, and don't forget to realize the promise of technology.